Chaka was here as Interior Minister. I think in our interaction, I told him that, well, there are matters, then, Interior Minister nominee, Honorable Muntaka Mubara. I told him that there are matters that we definitely will enter our casket with. You can be accused falsely, and you are in your government, and you are staying. There's some debt on you, and you cannot talk. Going into public office, are you aware that some of such circumstances may come your way?
Mr. Chairman, even as a member of Parliament.
Just go straight to it because
yes, I'm aware. Yes, I'm aware.
Okay.
I'm aware.
So, when something happens, hypothetically, it's because there's no such thing, and you hear on radio that Sam Joy, the communication minister, say NCA, there is some irregularity at NCA, and somebody, because you are a sector minister and the supervisor of that sector, girl goes on radio to say, yes, Sam George is a beneficiary. How would you feel about that?
It's the hazards of the job.
Hold it. Honorable Minority Leader, with all due respect, I plead with you that after 3 more questions, let's call it a day. On this one.
Oh, okay.
Yes, on Sam George.
Chairman, this evening, my patience is being tested. I pray to God to enable me pass the test. And I definitely will pass it. Chairman, you are aware, Chairman, you are aware that we have had a technical hitch on aspects of what the questions, which we are all patiently waiting for the clerk to deal with it. So when we get there and you decide to take away those rights, I won't fault you, but I will proceed.
Honorable Member, with all due respect, I'm inclined to discharge the nominee after 3 more questions.
No problem. Chairman, I won't challenge you. If you take a decision, I won't challenge your decision. That's no problem. So, Honorable nominee, in your last answer to me, you had said that should there be an incident at the NCA, an irregularity which becomes a national scandal, somebody from the public accuses the minister of state responsible for the sector. He is a beneficiary. Your answer is that is the hazard of the job. You take it in all its rights. Is that the reason why, without evidence, you accused the former president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, of being a beneficiary of Galamsey activities?
Honorable Leader, this question has been asked and answered. Proceed to ask another question.
Honorable nominee, do you agree with me that to suggest that a public officer has benefited from a wrong or an act of corruption, it will require you to have hard evidence at your disposal?
I'm not aware.
So it is your view that to accuse a public officer of being a beneficiary of corruption, there is no need for evidence at the disposal of you, the individual who is accusing the public officer?
Mr. Chairman, no greater evidence of the corruption in the last administration is needed beyond the results of the last elections. Thank you.
Honorable Leader, please, your last question.
Chairman, at this juncture, let me, with utmost respect to you, protest on the following grounds. One, that you are aware that we have some set of questions, which questions will be mounted on video evidence, which video evidence you and I are aware that the clerk to the committee has explained to us that they are having some technical hitches, which technical hitches they are rectifying. Two, I have indicated to you that I have gotten to his sector questions, which I believe I must have the opportunity to ask. However, if Mr. Chair is of the view that my examination of the nominee be truncated, then I shall protest by not proceeding with the last question that Chairman is imposing upon me, and I will not disturb your discretion.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of questioning after Minority Leader having the floor for over 3 good hours. I would therefore proceed to recognize the guests here to support the nominee, Mr. and Mrs. A.G. George, parents of the nominee, Mrs. Vera George, spouse of the nominee, Pram Traditional Council, led by the Paramount Chief, Ngenge Tete Waka III, Ningo Traditional Council, led by the Senior Divisional Chief, Ngenge Banahini Asime Tete III, Bishop Raymond Aqua, Administrative Bishop, Perez Chapel International, representing His Eminence Archbishop Charles Ajinasari, La Familia, heads of agencies under the Ministry of Communications, Digital Technology Innovations, led by Chief Director, Mr. Alexander Afu, representative of the industry players and NNOs, led by the Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunication, Engineer Ken Ashigbe, Constituency Executives, NDC, and NDC Party Faithfuls in Ingo Pram, led by Constituency Chairman Alhaji Isa Adamu, Vanguard, Madam Obobia Dako Opoku, and all NDC party supporters. You are all welcome. Honorable Sam George, Honorable nominee, thank you very much for attending upon the committee, and we are grateful for your patience to answer a lot of questions. You are hereby discharged, but we will hear from the committee.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you. Kindly leave the room with your team immediately, and the next nominee should take the chair.
Tell them leave the room immediately. Tell them to leave quickly. Let's do our thing.
Our revered guests, kindly leave the room. We have more nominees to vet. Clerk of the committee, please proceed to swear the oath.
The thing that makes the space great is just space, and everyone's together. It's the best place in the world.
Away, people of my city, my Cape Town. We bat bold. We bowl hard. We own these 22 yards. In the stadium, in the sun, my Cape Town is all about fun. My Cape Town is one.
3G, 4G, and rolling out 5G are not mutually exclusive. With the right handsets, skill sets, and the persons in charge, you can do all of those at the same time. We would make sure that 3G and 4G penetration gets to all the hamlets and villages you've spoken about, and at the same time, roll out 5G. We will do it. It is possible to reset Ghana.
Last question.
Thank you. Yes, your very last question.
Grateful that you said it's possible. My last question, Mr. Nominee, what's your take on ECOWAS and the national roaming policy? You know that in Europe, subscribers do have this European policy where if, say, you move from one European country to the other, you pay the same cost for data and then for calls. But in Africa, it's totally different.
Honorable member, your question.
The question is, Mr. Chairman, I was building, the background.
Please.
The question is, what is your take on ECOWAS and this, its national roaming policy? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I think that the roaming policy is one that we need to embrace. Under the last administration, I'm aware that there are about 3 other African countries where Ghana has signed on with, where you can roam your calls and data. I believe that we're going to continue under the ECOWAS framework to ensure that roaming, ECOWAS roaming, and Honorable Chairman, there's a bit of a distinction between ECOWAS roaming and national roaming. The question seems to equate both. They're 2 different things, because the ECOWAS roaming is between Ghana and other member states of ECOWAS. National roaming is within the confines of the country, but between the MNOs. So you're an MTN user, you get into an area, you can run on the Telecel network. A Telecel network user can run on the AT network. So we will work on both national roaming to integrate it properly and ECOWAS roaming as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will recognize Honorable Alassane Umar.
Thank you, Chairman, for this opportunity. Honorable Sam George, congratulations. I wish you well. I have a question regarding this. I have 2. One is about the party manifesto, And that is about the rolling out of how will you roll out the 1 million coders project? Can you tell us?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the number of models that are being considered, when approved by this House, I would, under the instructions of His Excellency, determine which of the models will be suitable for rollout by His Excellency. But we've got about 3 models, but I can't speak to them until approved by this House and giving direction by His Excellency. But we have 3 feasible models to run them out. Thank you.
Thank you. My second question is about MTN Ghana has been declared as an SMP, which is a significant market power. Would you reverse the decision, and why?
Thank you very much. The outgone minister or the outgone administration declared MTN as an SMP under Section 20 of the NCA Act. Mr. Chairman, being declared an SMP is not a bad thing. However, the mode in which you use it is where the problem is. The previous administration used the SMP tool as a punitive measure. The SMP tool is meant to be a corrective measure. In fact, since the minister declared MTN an SMP, their market share has grown instead of it fixing the distortion in the market. We will use the SMP as a corrective tool, not to punish an investor who has made solid investment in our country over the past years, but also to make sure that we create an equitable playing space for all the players so that the customer has multiplicity of options to benefit from. So the SMP will be used as a corrective tool, not as a punitive tool under the Mahama administration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You said you have 2 questions. I will now give the floor to Honorable Ritana Odolesowa.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I wish to congratulate my brother, Honorable Sam George, on his nomination by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, for believing in you that you can. My question is, do you think there are too many taxes in the communications sector, and what do you intend to do about that?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This question is more like a trick question. I'm guided and minded that my brother, who has been vetted and approved by the House, Honorable Atufo Singh, is dealing with plugging a big, deep hole in our national purse. And so talking about taxes is pretty touchy. However, yes, if you look at the cost build-up for taxation, when you look at a network like Telecel, about 27.65% of the cost build-up is taxes. When you go to a network like MTN, it's almost 40%. It's important that we look at the taxes in there. I know that the government has indicated, our government has indicated that we'll repeal the COVID levy. The COVID levy is part of the cost build-up. But I think that one of the key things we need to do for the telcos to help with the pricing would be to look at power tariffs, because power tariffs is where the real issue is. That's where the real cost element comes. And conversations are already on the foot between myself and Honorable John Jinapo and the industry to see how we can work on that. But I believe that something has to be done about the tax build-up for the sector. Thank you.
You have additional questions. Please go ahead quickly.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to find out from the Honorable nominee, as members of Parliament, there's cybercrime ongoing where Facebook accounts of honorable members of Parliament, because I'm an MP, I'll speak to that. We have our accounts, I'll say impersonation of our accounts, and people are duping people through our names. And sometimes they'll say they're going to create employment for them. This is something we reported in the 8th Parliament, and nothing was done about it. These people have MTN Momo accounts, and they are able to get people to pay monies into those accounts. And it's a bit worrying. What do you intend to do, or what can you do about it when given the nod as the minister? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question is is double-edged. You're talking about impersonation on social media, on platforms that are outside the jurisdiction, run from outside the jurisdiction, and then you're talking about mobile money fraud, which happens within the jurisdiction. On the Facebook platforms, I think that we're going to work closely with members of parliament. The Speaker tried to do that with leadership of the House in the 8th Parliament to try and get all members of parliament to come together and public government officials for us to identify your accounts and then verify those accounts. But let me use this platform to appeal to the young people and the people of our country. No member of parliament or minister of state will come into your inbox on Facebook and offer you a job. It is a scam. Please beware. We've given this notice several times because cyber awareness is the key to this. So we beg, no minister or MP will come and offer you a job. When it comes to the mobile money fraud, that's the more reason why we need to do the SIM re-registration. Because today when you ask the MNOs to identify for you who really uses that SIM, they are unable to do so. Because many of those SIMs were pre-registered SIMs. And if there's an instance I'm aware of last year where we pursued with the Cybersecurity Authority from Parliament here because it involved a member of Parliament. When we found out the card that was used to register the SIM, the individual whose card was used had never even gone to that MNO to register a SIM. So somebody had used his details to register that SIM.